Hey, what's up? This is Corey Dion Lewis, clinical health coach and host of the Healthy Project podcast. Now, the research shows that social determinants can have a greater impact on your health more than healthcare or lifestyle choices. The purpose of this podcast is to discuss how to improve health and reduce health inequity by speaking to healthcare professionals, thought leaders, and entrepreneurs. Now, if you're enjoying the podcast, give it a review. Or you can also make a donation to the Healthy Project using the link in the description. It takes 30 seconds and it's super easy. Hey, thank you so much for listening. Now let's get started. Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching the Healthy Project podcast. I'm your host, Corey Dion Lewis. I got the homie, the legend.
Oh my gosh.
Man,
Yeah.
there's so many adjectives.
I thank you for that.
You want to know you're the reason why we have a mental health panel? Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Let me tell you the story.
Tell me about it.
So when Larry, the homie, were organizing My City, My Health, it was the community panel was the first one, the prevention panel, and it was the culture and healthcare. We only had the three panels.
Okay.
And we're having a meeting, and he was like, "Hey, Corey, I got an idea. I think we need to have a mental health panel." And he was like, "You can't do it without Breanne."
Wow.
And that's when he connected us on LinkedIn.
Okay. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, and then I ended up meeting you at your office, and I was like, "Oh, so you're the very first person that I reached out to about having a mental health panel, and we organized it around you."
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Jesus. It's all him.
Yes. Yeah. And that panel, first of all, before we get into it all, we can just talk. But tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
And yeah, what was your first experience like with My City, My Health?
Wow. So, Breanne Ward here. For those of y'all who don't know me, I am a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Iowa. I rock in Des Moines, Iowa. Own a group practice, Forward Consulting LLC. That was a labor of love. It really. I was on my way to enter into having labor with my son. And
really?
Yeah, August 2014. I am big and pregnant. On my way to go get French fries because we was hungry. And as clear as day, we talk, and I hear Forward Consulting, and I'm like, I said, "So what do you want me to do with it?" He was like, "Just hold on to it. You're going to need it." I'm like, "Okay." So I decided to make it an LLC, just to keep it primed for whatever God had for it. And fast forward, have my baby in September, and I get my first gig in 2015, training EFR about crisis intervention and trauma. And I thought I was balling. That was my first $200 check. I was like, I'm about to blow up. And held on to it. And then in 2019, it became, my bread and butter. And COVID really solidified that we were necessary.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, definitely. So when I am always asked, like, "Hey, we want you to be on this panel. Hey, we want you to be," I count it as an honor and a privilege, because sometimes I'm so focal pointed on my purpose,
right?
I forget that people are seeing me and seeing the impact of what's going on. So being asked to be a part of the mental health panel was actually an honor. And my experience at My City, My Health, I'm listening to the music as I'm walking down, and I'm like, "Are we doing this today?" Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yes.
So it was so awesome to know that that I was represented, that I didn't have to come in and be anything but me.
Yeah, authentic.
Period. And so it was really nice to be able to do that, and then to see the healthy options to eat and to kind of nurture yourself before you actually had to be a nurturer. That was really, really good for me. So I enjoyed and then my homies on the panel with me. I had Tim with me. I had Kayla with me. So I felt really, really comfortable because they get it. I didn't have to feel like I had to explain anything, because we're talking the same language on the panel. And then my girl, Rhea Spigner, she's the one who's orchestrating this thing. So I'm just seeing me talking about us freely. It was good.
Yeah, it was so good.
It was good.
And I came back to you humbly to run it back.
Yeah.
Because the mental health
Yeah.
the mental health panel was so good. It was the most popular panel last year.
Wow. Okay.
Um, and the conversation was so rich that you probably didn't notice it because you were in your moment. You were in the zone. It was it was fourth quarter, Michael Jordan. You were doing your thing, right?
Yeah.
But looking at the crowd, because it was our first conference running, so like
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking at the crowd, make sure what people are thinking,
Mm-hmm.
like what's going on, and like this intense focus on every word and really soaking in what you guys were saying
Mm-hmm.
was so real. Like it was like I can't even really put it into words.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's like I had to have you guys back. But also, now we have Teresa Zilk as the moderator,
Man.
and who is a beast of her own.
I call her the silent assassin.
Man, for
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
And we have Gabe Martinez, who's on there, and I think it's going to be just so impactful. And
Yeah.
I'm curious to see, like, okay, there's a whole year has gone by, a whole year of mental stressors and different types
Yeah,
of
yeah,
mental health issues
Yeah.
are at the forefront now. What that conversation is going to be like, because I know that you have your own lane, but also we had a conversation on another show that should be coming out soon about the impact of our youth and what
Oh, yeah.
I know that was really pulling at your heart at
Yeah.
one point.
It was. Still is.
Yeah. So tell me, what kind of conversations are you wanting to have this year that you hope that we can share with the audience to take back to the community?
Absolutely. I've been on this kick about increasing human value. We have to figure out how to increase human value, but in order for us to understand it, we have to define human again. There has been so many places that I've seen dehumanization,
Man, talk about it.
and it's not that it's just just grotesque and in your face and direct, right? There's been so many indirect things that have impacted dehumanizing people. um, with our youth. There's all these memes about, them having hoodies on in 90-degree weather
Right.
and wearing these, little stocking caps and things. But there is language behind that. There's so much language behind that. And it's this idea of, I already feel like I'm dehumanized. I don't even want to be seen by y'all no more. Y'all ain't gonna do nothing. So y'all out here talking about me, but you ain't gonna do nothing. Um, that speaks to me. That speaks to me. I had the opportunity to go to a art showing, and Andrew Wright. He's out of Waterloo in the
Yeah.
Quad Cities, but he has this initiative called Humanize My Hoodie.
Yep.
And to be able to see what he has done with hoodies to have a conversation about youth, it's crazy to me. And so I feel like we need to talk to youth more to
Right.
increase their value as a human, because they don't feel like they have any
Right.
more, nor anybody's pouring into them as well. So I don't want to take away from those who are doing things.
Right.
But there's this consensus around our youth in Polk County that they're lost and that you can't save them. That's a lie.
Yeah, a bold-faced lie. Because, like you said, like you pointed out, there are people who are doing the work. I wonder if we're getting to the youth that need to hear it, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there? You're always going to have those kids that are more receptive to adult wisdom or to somebody that's reaching out to them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you also have those that, because of their circumstances, ain't trying to hear it.
Yeah.
But they need to hear it.
I always call it like a live wire. Like, you see, like, it needs attention, but if you touch it, you might get hurt. And so people use a lot of times involuntary ignorance to that. Like, if I don't touch it, if I don't see it, if I don't say anything about it, then I don't have to do anything for it. I don't have to do anything to resolve it. And that has to stop in our community. And volunteer ignorance is not working.
No, it's not working.
Yeah.
Where do you go though? Like where is the middle ground? Because it feels like there are a lot of people who have great hearts that want to do good work, who want to reach those live wires, right? And I don't necessarily think there are a lot of people who have good hearts that understand the language of those kids.
I'd agree with that.
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely, yeah.
Speaking with you, speaking with Kayla and other therapists, it's like there are those that understand how to talk to them. They can be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. It don't matter who it is. You know how to speak that language.
Yeah.
And for a long time, speaking that language was like, oh, you're not educated because you're talking this type of way, right? But really, what we know now is that is a way of getting to the youth or getting to the root. How do you utilize language to get to the solution?
Absolutely. So, we were on the Make It Okay campaign together.
Yes. Yes, Back to Black.
Yeah. Through the Iowa Healthy Estate Initiative. And so my big thing was, if we're going to get to youth, we have to have a list of colloquialisms that will grab their attention. And so I am big on learning the new sayings. Like, what's out there? What does it mean? What is all this? Like, my son, God bless his little soul, he's 8. He's going around saying HGL. And I'm like, well, what is HGL? And I forgot what the acronym is, but he says it all the time. And he thinks he's so cool because he's saying it. Any of y'all who know HGL, go ahead and put in the comments. But I think language is huge because language is what speaks to us.
Right.
There are certain language that's in music, and music transcends to all cultures, all variations of people because of the language that's within it. And so for me, I think I also need to be aware of themes. Being a mental health provider, you see themes all the time with people. Some people can call them patterns or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But, those speak to us. Those speak to me. And so I need not only know the language, but the themes in which the language is being used. When I hear certain things, it's because you're in poverty. When I hear certain things, it's because you have purpose or you need to figure out how to find success. Like, language speaks to you, and it tells you what phase a person is in or what theme they're coming out of or what pattern that they're working through. And so if I know the language, but then I can piggyback it on a theme that's going on within them, that gives me leverage to kind of come in and be accessible to them and say, hey, looks like this ain't working no more because I'm hearing it. Where you trying to be? Where you trying to go? What you trying to do? Let's change the language. Let's change the narrative. And it's so empowering for people to change that. So empowering. So that's where I be at.
Right. No, that's so true though, because you got to be able. I can say the same thing in 2 different ways.
Yes.
And have my daughter, who's a teenager, looking at me like, what? And say to how she accepts it. Yeah. And she'll be like, oh, okay, why didn't you say that?
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing, I've been really interested in is how we make mental health therapy equitable. I feel like there are.
Say that.
Yeah. Because for real, because there are a lot of people that I believe, and you can shed some light on this because I'm not gonna act like I know everything, but I feel like that someone within the Black community or whatever community may say to themselves, man, I wish I had somebody to talk to, but I don't have insurance.
Ooh, yeah.
But I can't afford it. But
sir,
I don't know who to talk to.
I'm going to start running around this studio. Facts.
Yeah. How do we, and maybe I know this is a loaded question, but how do we make mental health equitable for especially people in the Black community?
So, this is my soapbox in this season of my life.
Okay, talk about it.
Okay, so how do we make mental health more equitable? One, we have to talk about the language of mental health. So we got to introduce it in a way that is palatable.
Mm-hmm.
We also have to make sure that we're going in the spaces where we see mental health disguised or deemed as something else. And for me, because of my platform, my husband's a pastor. What up, Moses Ward Sr.? How you doing?
Okay, shout out to Moses.
Hot. All right. No, but I think he has given me a space in the church to do more education, but in a way that's more palatable for people to understand it. So he has allowed me to have mental health panels. He's allowed me to have a platform to talk about helping someone when they're in distress. Figuring out what the signs are within that, but I have to go in where it's disguised or where it's called something different, and it's usually within the church, right?
Right.
Or now I'm finding out it's in community centers, or it's in after-school programs, right? And so we have to go where it's at, because if there's already barriers and challenges, they're not going to outthink those challenges. They're going to be focusing how to survive, right?
Right.
And so we got to make moves to say, well, they need to come to us. No, sometimes we need to go to them to make it more equitable, right? And palatable. And another thing I think we have to do is we have to present it as it's not this scary taboo type of thing.
That part.
Right? And so for me, when I think about making mental health more equitable, I got to also see when I'm going into those spaces, what are the challenges and the barriers that people are talking about? Are people can't come to therapy because they don't have gas money? Are people not able to come to therapy because, they have to go to work to make sure their babies are eating, So I think we have to be very clear about, it's not they don't want it. It's just there's too many things in the way of it.
Right.
And if we can remove some of those things easily, let's do it. Churches, you have benevolence funds. Can you provide Sister so-and-so with the gas card? After school program, you had an influx of food. I'm so grateful for the Moines Public Schools. They're giving it out during summer, even when there's not school in session. That takes a huge barrier away from people who are struggling.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm thinking for me, in order for mental health to be more equitable, first of all, we got to go to where we know mental health is needed. We got to see how it's being disguised. And then we also have to talk about the barriers and how we can find solutions for that. So mental health is not even a question anymore.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. That's so real. I love that term. Find out where it's disguised, because it's everywhere. We just gotta know where to look for it.
Yeah. Go to a mall. It's over there. I love to watch young people and security guards. I know that's sick.
So yeah. Tell me about this. Walk me through this.
But I am an observer by nature. Since I was a little girl, I've been observing people. And I think that's why God gave me the gifting to be a therapist, because I observe first and I talk later.
Got you.
But I love to watch young people minding their business, being young, doing them, right? Because I remember me being at Merle Hay thinking I'm grown.
Oh, yeah.
But I love to watch sometimes how security guards just kind of watch them and kind of, be accessible to them. Just in case something pops off,
Right. Oh, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so in my mind, I'm like, that's what we should be doing. It shouldn't be a security guard being accessible to them. It should be us being accessible to them. One day I watched a little girl. I think I was at the Dollar Tree or whatever, and I watched her stuffing stuff in her backpack. And she's like, "Oh, you're so pretty," and I'm like, "You want me to pay for that for you? I can get that for you. Ain't no problem. What you need?" And she just kind of looked like, "You saw me? Baby, I saw you." But I'm not communicating or punishing her for it. I want to gift her. And so many times I think when we go in spaces where these people is crazy, or they need help, or this, that, or the third, what's going on, Corey, is that what you're saying is there is a barrier that I see, but I feel incompetent or I feel inequipped to feel it. So I'm going to use voluntary ignorance to be like this. because I don't want to touch it.
Right.
The issue here is if I need to make mental health equitable and accessible, I need to make myself accessible.
Ooh.
I need to make sure that I have all of my barriers and all of my biases checked before I say something about a situation I can be the solution for.
Ooh. And you were the solution.
I'm the solution.
Yeah.
I'm a walking. We are walking solutions.
Yes.
All of us.
Because just imagine if you would have reacted, going back to that story about
Yeah.
the Dollar Tree,
Mm-hmm.
if you would have been like, "Girl, I know what you got in your pocket," in a negative
you know
way.
better. Your mama taught you better than that. I
Yeah.
don't know that to
Ain't
be
got no
true.
home training.
Yeah,
Look at you.
But I don't know that to be true.
You don't know that to be true. And what you could have done, you probably changed that girl's life
Mm-hmm.
by
Yeah.
reacting in a way that was more caring and like, hey, we don't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let me get that for you.
Yeah.
Let me get that for you.
And that, sir, is how you increase human value.
Man,
That's it. I humanized her.
you humanized her.
Yep. Because she could have been getting snacks for her brother and sister who
You
ain't been eating. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know her situation, so I'm using a trauma-informed response to come to her to gift her.
Right.
Versus to create this wedge in community. Like, see, they think we criminals. No, I want to lessen that gap and say, I see
Right.
you. I know you're struggling, but let me help you.
Right.
Yeah.
And even if she was out here wilding, it was the right approach to change.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that's great. You know, something I be thinking about sometimes, Breanne, is when it comes to mental health, and mind you, everybody, I'm not a mental health therapist. That is not my lane.
But you know some stuff.
I not even that I
know
know
some
some stuff, but like I feel like I talked to you, I talked to Kayla. A lot of the content and the projects I've been close to lately have been around mental health. So that's just where my mind has been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I started to think about, you know, how we've been education and like what were some of the things that I saw in schools growing up and that here's a story. I'll tell you this is what I'm talking about. This is an example. The reason why I love exercise so much is because in third grade, a gym teacher playing dodgeball, I got out and I'm like, man, I'm sweating. And she was like, sweating's good. That means you're working hard. That's good, Corey. And ever since then, I'm like, ooh, okay. So if I'm sweating, I'm doing something good.
Yeah.
And it that stayed with me. And I'm like, what if we had people in the schools that could be maybe not even a teacher,
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but could just
Yeah.
talking about, because especially in our public schools, we have so many kids that I couldn't even imagine living their life if I'm being honest. Some of the stories I've heard just from my little time working at Orchard Place and reading files, I'm like,
Yeah.
yo,
Yeah.
can we have somebody in these schools that can be not even just be just there for encouragement, but who understands, hey, someone came to school, ain't had none since lunch yesterday. Of course they're wilding out, right? How can I be there? What are there trainings for teachers that can do that? I don't know.
Yeah,
Like, should we
yeah.
be training our teachers to be more empathetic to their students, and maybe we need more mental health education in schools at a lower level. That's where I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Long story
Yeah,
short,
absolutely.
but how do we do that? How do we not even mask it, but like how do we start to incorporate that into our education systems at an early age, so these kids are growing up understanding language, understanding themselves more? Because I don't feel like it's being taught.
Yeah, yeah. I have a litany about this because this is my soapbox as well. I am passionate about mental health, and I am passionate about helping humans. I think that's why God ain't made me a millionaire, because I would be broke. I'd be giving money out everywhere. Like you said what? Your car broke down, boo? Oh, shoot, buy a new one. So there is a training called Lemonade for Life. It was founded and constructed at the University of Kansas. And so basically what it does is it takes you past, when you learn somebody's adverse childhood experience score, You know, those of you who are not familiar with it, from 0 to 18, there's a 10-item questionnaire that a person is supposed to take. And if you score, 4 or more, then we start talking about you've experienced a lot of adversity in your life as a
right.
child. And then, many people would do that scale with people and be like, okay, so what do I do now? I mean, it's like doom. Like, what do I do? And the whole preface is, how do you build hope in somebody again? So they take you through the idea of how to create hope mapping, how to share hope. Dr. Shane Lopez is someone who did research around hope. If one person has it and gives it to one other person, they're going to give it to 3 other people. And so when we get done with that training, we're called hope ambassadors. That's exactly
cool.
what the community needs. We need people who are hope
Man,
ambassadors,
yes.
right? Being able to know what trauma is, what it looks like, understanding, the symptoms of it in a human. It's going to be different for everybody, but being able to create hope in somebody. And so that's exactly what when you were speaking about going into school, that's exactly what my mind was thinking. But I'm also thinking about this idea of stereotype threat. And I think I share it everywhere I go. Probably said it at the last panel, My City, My Health. But Dr. Claude Steele is the founder of that term. And what he found was that when you treat people according to the stereotype you think they fit, it impacts the human's mental health badly. And they start to underperform because they're already assuming you're going to judge me anyway based on how you see me. So let me just live up to your expectation. Yeah, some people call it self-fulfilling prophecy, whatever. But for us in our community, of color, stereotype threat is real. It's real.
Yeah.
Give you an example. I had a young man come into my office. He had a litany of charges, and he was on his way to being 18, and just real reckless lifestyle, real reckless. When he came into my office, he was higher than a kite. Like he hadn't eaten in a long time. But to me, that's depressive symptoms,
Right.
Real tall, real scrawny, and his clothes didn't fit. Had a head full of hair, but had his hood on, and he came in with his head down. And so I assumed that he thought that I was going to judge him based on the dialogue his mother had already given me, a precursor about what was going on. Maybe I had touched his probation officer already, and I got a chart on him already. He was right about some of those things. I had some of those things.
Right.
I didn't bring it to the session. One of the things that he did, he was a very closed answer type person, right? Yeah, no,
that
right?
makes it hard.
Yep. And so I said at the very end, because I wasn't going to keep it in here for, an hour? Are you kidding me? That's torture for both of us.
Right.
But we was in there for about 30 minutes, and towards the end of that, I told that young man, I said, young man, you probably assume that I think that you're a criminal, that you're a drug user, that you are a gangbanger, that you're violent, that you are someone that don't have a future. I said, that's what possibly you think that I think about you. I said, I don't think none of that. So I think you have a bright future. I said, by you even coming into so I'm doing all this,
right?
Giving him all of this, right? So I said, you have to come back and see me. You're court ordered to be here. But I said, I just want you to know, I don't see that. I see you. He came back. Within 3 months, this young man got a job, broke up with his toxic partner, started to learn deep breathing, got him a job at a factory, and told me that he needed a vacation because he needed to get away from and de-stress from his life.
Yo.
And he did all of this because he knew the age of 18 was coming and he wanted to be successful.
Man, that's real.
Hope does so much. Accessibility to mental health services can do a lot. And to have a young man to see himself sit down, that is how you restore mental health in our community.
Man. I got to let that sit a little bit because you think about all what was at a young age.
Yeah.
You said before 18?
Before 18.
All what was on his head.
Yeah. All of it.
All that he was thinking about.
Yeah.
Right? And for someone just to be like, I don't see any of it.
Right.
Man.
I see what you could be and can be if you choose to be.
Right.
So you want to roll with me or not? I kind of gave him like this is up to you. You could do it, and I'm here
Right.
for you. I'm ready when you're ready, right? And so because I said that, not only did he do all those things, but he was able to talk to me about some of the confusion he had regarding, just his life,
Mm-hmm.
just the relationship that he had with his parents. And all of these great things came out of that because I said, I see you.
Right. Why are we so why are we so afraid of mental therapy? Right. So
Mm-hmm.
I will
There's some
tell
good
you
reasons.
there are a lot of good reasons.
Yeah.
But I will tell you some of the things that even come from my mouth. Not now, like I've
Yeah, yeah.
but before, just thinking about, man, there's some childhood things I need to work out,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't need nobody in my business.
Let the folks know about me.
Yeah. Right, but
Yeah.
just even saying it out loud right now,
Mm-hmm.
I can picture multiple scenarios of being a shorty and my mom or somebody being like, we don't need, hey, I don't need a body in my business. Not even talking about mental health
Yeah.
therapy.
Just period.
Just period.
Yeah.
Just stay out of my business.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we break that? How do we how do we get out of that cycle
Yeah.
of quote unquote staying out of my business to getting help and getting some business?
Ain't that the truth? Well, let me tell. Okay, so let's go the historical route, and then let's go modern day route. So, for me, one of the things that I know to be true is that if you, as a black person, say I need help,
Mm-hmm.
that means that you're not doing life right,
Mm.
and you already have a negative cognition about who you are in this thing called life. If something doesn't work out, or if something um, uh, is unsuccessful under your watch, you're already talking about yourself, because historically, if you're not doing well, if you can't get over little Johnny being sold off, if you can't get over uh, little Sal or Big Sally coming back after being raped all night, if you can't get over that, like, this is what we do. This is what happens, right? If you just can't get
Right.
over that, then you ain't made for this. You just weak. You got to be strong to get through all of this.
Yeah.
Right? And if no one is breaking that message historically for us, then it's going to be transcended to us in various ways. And so it was funny. I just had a conversation with my mommy about this because, the idea that black women should be strong and shouldn't need nobody, that's historical. Black women was made to be strong because of slavery, because we didn't know if your son or your husband was going to be sold off.
Man,
so you got to
that
learn
part.
all the tricks of the trade, be the master of all of them, just in case stuff goes crazy. Let's go back. So let's come down to modern day. So now we're in a place where it's being introduced into our culture as it's something that we probably should be doing. But the message behind it is you got to be scared to make the call. Like, I was watching like
That's right. That's so true.
yeah, like, I have no other options. Like, I'm so scared.
That's
Like, I think I better call right now, right? So there's this fear base that goes with it, right? Have you ever seen some of these app commercials?
Oh my God, yes. They be so sad, like
And the music be all
it's so sad.
so sad, and right, like,
I have no other options.
right. And hear me when I say I get it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I think we have to start to normalize the behavior to ask for help,
Right.
whether it's therapy or not. We have to normalize that we as people of color need help. We as poor people need help. We as baka, whatever caveat comes your way, we need help, because it's just a human response.
Right.
We were made to ask for help. We were made to look for help, period. It's biblical and it's natural, however way you want to look at it.
Right.
So for me, I think in order to reframe this idea that, I need to get mental health therapy, I think we have to, one, assess what is it? Because for many years we've been told we've been the guinea pigs
Right.
to get the help that we need. And this is how intrinsic this is in me, and innate it is in me. So me and my husband took a trip to Duluth, right? We went to the railroad exhibit museum or whatever. And they have these like little corner stores or these little storefronts that you can look in and learn the history, right?
Oh, right on.
As soon as I saw like the doctor, my mind went to, oh, I know how you got your stuff. You had my ancestors with their legs open with no anesthesia. And you was
Oh,
just poking and prodding and making them cry and cutting them and stuff. You didn't care. That's how you got here. Like my mind went straight there.
straight there.
Boom. And so for me, I'm thinking that's what people's mind probably goes with mental health therapy. You're going to drug me. You're going to give me all this medicine. You're not going to give me any help. You're going to take my kids away. You're going to get me fired because now I got to take time off of work to get here, right?
Right.
All of these automatic thoughts come.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I'm trying to do more, like Facebook, videos, just like, hey, y'all, I was thinking,
Yeah.
hey, we having a mental health moment. Just so I can introduce them. This is what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it's just kind of changing the automatic response or thought to what mental health treatment could be.
Right. And that leads to my next question about, we were kind of talking about this before we started recording, is you pour so much into people as
Yeah.
as a therapist,
Yeah.
right? And even outside of therapists, like you gave me a word, I didn't know what to do with myself. Like before we start, I'm like, I don't know what to do with my hands. It threw me off.
Because you're my brother, man.
It threw me
Yeah.
off. But what do you do? I see you doing these mental health moments, and that's still to encourage somebody that may not ever meet you.
Yeah.
But as you're pouring, like you said, as you're pouring into somebody else's cup and pouring out of your own,
Mm-hmm.
how do you pour back into? Like, how do you get refilled?
Yeah. Yeah. I that used to be a question that used to stump me. But now I'm so intentional about it. I know what I need, and I think I've been privileged enough to have the space to figure that out. And so what I find for me is I have to be by water, and I have to be by vibrant colored plants or
Yo.
flowers. Like that's my thing because it helps me ground again. Like I put my feet in water and I feel like I'm touching something, like I'm grounded again. And I let water speak to me. Like water can have a whole conversation with me.
Yo, okay.
So I love nature. Nature's what talks back to me and fills me back in. Also being kid-like. So I love to go roller skating.
Okay.
I bought me some skates from Amazon with the lights on the wheels.
We just got some for Vivian for her birthday.
Listen
Love
here.
them.
Skate South on Wednesday nights. That is my place because it feels like as I'm going around, I feel like everything that I just had is just like floating off of me in the wind.
Yo.
Right. So being active is good for me. I love me some good old hip hop fit and just moving my body and exerting things out of my body. So that's what pours back into me. I also have girlfriends that pour into my spirit, but also hold me accountable to making sure I take care of myself.
Yeah.
And we do that for every one of us because one month it's me. Next month is her.
Yeah.
Right? So I just got to have me some accountability partners and people who love me authentically, right? Where I can just, pull my wig off, be like, this is what's going on today.
Mm-hmm.
But with saying that, what I have realized is that where I do therapy, that is where people get that space and that permission to figure out what to do for themselves. So I always like to cater that because it speaks back to me like, Breanne, you got to do that for yourself when you're done here. Remember that, okay? But how I usually do therapy sessions, I do them I always say think 15. 15 at the beginning, I'm like recapping our last time, how are things been going, checking in, right? Next 15, okay, let's see how that intervention I told you to do last week was working for you. Introduce you to something new if you need it. That last 15 minute, what are you going to do for yourself? It's called forward language, forward thinking.
Forward thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or your nexting language. What's next for you? Because I always want you to see there's hope and there's future for you. Even if it sucks right now, it's only going to last for a little bit. You have hope and you have future, what it looks like. So 15 is how I get it done in my office. And it seems to work because people come back. So
Yeah.
they be booking and stuff.
It be booking.
Yeah.
I think having a community of people,
Woo.
whether it's, and when I say community, it could just be two cats.
I'm just saying. But those are your people.
It is so.
My God.
It's a cheat code. that everybody needs to have.
I'm so serious.
Man, it's just something about having that one person that rocks with you, that doesn't look at you differently with
Yeah.
like Breanne's looking at me greatly, and I know my head looks crazy. My barber, he on vacation until next week, and I gotta thug it out until next week.
Oh my goodness.
But I'm like,
I didn't even check it for that.
I feel like I got a fresh lineup right now. I know I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
But it's something about having those people in your corner that is just, it's a battery in your back, no matter how you're feeling.
Absolutely.
I
Totally
feel like
agree.
we need to have workshops on just how to get a group of people together, because that is so, it's been so good for me, and I know it could be good for a lot of people.
Absolutely. You know, we do therapists of color meetup now, and so we've been doing it for about 2 years now, and that's the whole preface. If you don't have people, just come here. We'll be your people today.
Man,
there's food here. There's R&B going through the speakers. I haven't been successful at bringing games because, you know, people just need a space to vent. We never get to the games.
Oh, right.
People just need to be just lifted up.
Yes.
And just held for a minute.
Yep.
So, yeah, I believe in holding space for people. And, you know, people who don't have people, there are these awesome things called support groups. Now, some of them you got to vet. But if you need support, go and get it. What's the song that Rihanna said? Get it how I live it.
Yep.
Ain't that it?
Yeah.
Go get it so you can live.
Oh man.
If it's through a support group, get it. If it's through AA, get it. If it's through a Zoom link, get it. Get it. If it's NA, whoever, get it. Because you deserve it.
Man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop right there.
You know we can go all day.
Man, Breanne, thank you so much for being on the podcast with me today. Thank you again for being a panelist at this year's My City, My Health, November 17th. For those that are listening, that are watching, that want to be like, hey, where's she at?
Yeah.
Where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find Forward Consulting in various places. You can Google Forward Consulting LLC or Breanne Ward, and things will pop up. But I am located on 43rd and University here in Des Moines, 4309 University Avenue. I am currently taking new clients, so if you're looking for just to kind of check this out and see if this is something that you want to do, absolutely. Come and interview me before you even say I want you to be my therapist, because you have that right. That's your patient right. You can find me on Facebook. I'm trying to enter into this thing called Instagram. I know, don't be talking about me, but Facebook is my thing. And so you can find me there on a Facebook business page. Go ahead and look up Forward Consulting LLC. You can find us there.
Awesome. Again, Breanne, thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
And everybody, thank you for listening to the Healthy Project podcast. I'll holler at you next time.